Welcome to Handcrafted by J.R. Broussard. I'm Greg Broussard, and today we had the pleasure of working on this couch. Nice leather couch, but some of the braces is broken, the arm is broken, and we get to repair it. We have to take all this stuff out. This is broken. They made this out of this pressed, glued together sawdust stuff. We're going to take this, remove this out. Well, this is the main offender. This is a serious issue here. The joints are coming apart. They mostly stapled and glued this thing together. I think we can get away with that with the repair that I have in mind for this. And we have to keep this within budget, so we can't just rebuild the whole couch for the guy. So we have to, watch the budget. And you can see up in there, that broken piece way up there, that's the arm of the couch. We've got to figure out how to fix that. And I may have to take off this little piece of board that's in here, pull this back to get in there to fix that. I'm not sure yet. I'll worry about that after I fix the bottom. So now we have to disassemble. Oh yeah, this is great. So this is obviously broken, and they try to staple the crack together, which will never work. So let's see what this looks like when we get this all taken apart. Kind of craziness is going on in here. I don't even know. Like, what is... They try to staple the crack together. I don't know what these were for. Oh, they're holding up. They put plywood around that for some reason. That's great. Yeah, bigger, longer screws, that'll fix it. Oh. All right, well, there's a failed repair for sure. Aha. This one's broke also. That's why you don't build stuff out of this. So this is not, you don't build furniture with this kind of wood, or whatever it's called, the pressed stuff. I've changed my initial plan. So I'm going to cut this off by hand, by the handsaw, and I'm going to get my 2x6, cut it down to the right size, and I'm going to make a mortise in here. This will act as the tenon. This will slip into this piece here, and I'll cut the notch around here, same with the top, and then we'll shape it from there off the original bracket. And I think that's how we're going to handle that situation. Got to change saws. I'm going to cut the round edges off one side of this, make sure this is flat. We'll trace our pattern on here, and we'll cut it out. My recorder, little field recorder to capture my audio, when I shoot video is running out of batteries. It's almost out. So before it completely ran out, I thought that I would go to the store and grab some new batteries, so I will have decent audio. If you go and watch some of my older videos, you can see that the audio is pretty poor, so I upgraded, and I use this little field recorder, and it works great. Right now it's just the audio on the camera, obviously, because I'm changing the batteries in the recorder. And let's see what happens now. Hopefully we'll have full power. Turn it on. Let's see. There we go. We got full power. Can't see it, but all right, we're set with the recorder now. Now we can keep going and get some good, decent audio. I try to separate these two pieces because tracing it from the other side would be easier because I've got better corners. I broke it in the process. I put it together the best I could. That's going to throw me off just a little bit. Got it held down with the holdfasts, and I'm just going to trace this part on to the replacement part. This is the piece that I cut off with the handsaw, and it's got that little notch right there. It fits right there. It broke off the original piece, which fits here, and it's notched around this board up here, right here. So what I need to do is transfer all those broken sideways crazy marks to my new piece, and I also have to cut an inch deep mortise inside this part here, so this piece will fit inside that piece, so it'll go in here, clip in here, and then wrap around this bottom board. So I've got to figure those measurements somehow and make it exactly fit in there. So I'm able to piece this together enough to trace it, and it seems to be working pretty well. And I started to trace it, and I moved my form. Just want to check it. So yeah, there we go. So I got it traced on there, and now I'm going to cut this, and then we'll just slowly move to the lines until this fits. When this fits, we'll make an exact duplicate of this for the other side. This notch here goes around a board in the couch, and I'm just making sure my measurements are right. So, and this line will continue across, and I have to cut a dado in that, or a rabbit, and that piece. So I have to notch this end of the board an inch in. So I think that's good to make our lines clean and straight. A little bit more, make a little bit more sense to me. You can see what I'm doing. So notch that, notch this, notch all this. Okay, if we can make one successful template, we can use this and duplicate it. Okay, after some fang dangling, I got it to fit, and my mortise fits. This is broken, and this is going to fit perfectly underneath that broken piece so I can support it with the bracket itself. And it snaps right in. In order to get this piece in, I had to cut this little block. I had to cut a piece out, and I had to cut a block to fit back into that spot because there's no way it was going to go in. I needed the space. And this is the bracket that fits. I'm still have to cut my curve here, but now I've got to make sure the bottom of this is aligned because that leg goes in here and that leg is flush with the bottom, and I've got to measure that. And the only way I think that I can do that is if I put a straight edge on there and I draw a line on the back of this board, and then I can curve this board. The original bracket has a slight curve into it. In order to get flush, I have to take some of these staples out. I have to take some of these staples out anyway to get to the other side of this so I can attach some fasteners into the back of this, and that'll secure that brake that's back there. So I'm going to take a couple of these little staples off of here and get in there and put my straight edge on there. We'll take these out. There we go. And then we can pull that back just enough to get our straight edge in and draw a mark on the back here. It's flush with the bottom, and it's tapered a little bit. And I'll take that down so the bottom of the couch will be flush, and I probably will have to make another bracket for this other side. I slid the brace that goes here over next to the other one to see if it would fit, and we were off a little bit. It was tough to get in here, so I am going to have to come down and cut as much as that caliper is off the top and off this joint here. We'll have to come down just a little bit. It's not exactly the same bracket for whatever reason, and we'll have to cut a little bit off the top of this joint here and maybe the back of this. So I'm going to duplicate this joint minus the cuts I have to do from the top of this and the top of this joint here, and we'll make that real quick. I'm going to do that off camera since I've already done one, and then we'll see if they'll go in there. I've already planed the new side down to thickness, and this is going to be a lot easier because I'm just tracing the template off the part that I made that I know that fits and works, and I'm just going to cut these notches just like I did on the other one. So I'm not going to put that on video, and I arranged it where the knots and whatnot get cut out of it. So that's what I've got. I'm going to come through, I'm going to cut this off, and we'll see if it fits. The brace that I cut for this side, I'm going to marry it. I'm going to attach it to this existing one that's here, but I need to remove this board without breaking this. And I broke the other one, so I got to be super careful when I'm taking this out. I may have to cut it out with the Sawzall. If I can just get a bite on these nails on this side, it could be a possibility I could take it out. I don't want to break it. Oh, there we go. I'll get this other one. Hit the camera a couple of times, but that's okay. All right, now I know that these are glued together. I think the only way to do this is come in with a Sawzall and cut this out. I don't want to break it, and I need a room to put my blade in, and I don't know if I can even do that. So do some creative separation here. I've got it all the way separated. The tool's coming through the back. I made myself a small wedge, and I'm going to wedge this. Kind of made it wide on purpose so I don't put too much force on it, just to loosen some of that pressure up. If I can get my Sawzall blade in there, I'll be able to cut these staples and see what happens. All right. Will it come off? Oh, it's just stapled right up from the top. Oh, I almost got it out without breaking it. I need something to cut that with. There's a staple right there. Maybe I can cut it with this. Be very careful. All right, we took it out with one piece. So that other part should marry straight up in here now. Make it so it's a little flatter. Let's see if it fits. This might be a little bit too long. Looks like this joint has to be cut back just a tiny bit more. Yeah, I'm afraid this joint's a little bit too tight right here. So I'm gonna have to take this back off, and I got to take this out very carefully without tearing something up. There we go. I need to cut this back just a little bit. Oh, that's way better. Okay, that fits. Now I've got to come through and get these staples out that were in here so I can make it flush up against it. That's 1,000 times better. The reason why I had to cut this block and put it in here is because I couldn't get the part in without doing that, and I needed the space. This one, you can just lift up and drop it in, and it goes exactly where that break is. And then the mortise and tenon slide together, and then your block will go in here, and we'll secure that later. So that is that fix. And then the one I just did, you have to start it at an angle. There's a notch here which has to slide past the brace. Get vertical first. That's why you need the space back here. Then I should be able to sandwich these together and slide it up. Needs a little bit more motivation than that. Okay, those are our 2 new braces that are in there. The way I'm going to handle this is I'm going to screw and glue these parts together, and I'm going to leave the original one there. That's got to be flush at the bottom. And we will cut a board and we'll notch this, and this will fit down inside here so we can screw our leg on. Once that's done, we're pretty much accomplished this fix, and then we'll focus on the arm. We need to find half of this distance, and using metric tape measure, it measures 83. So half of that is 41 and a half. So we're going to put a mark halfway, 41 and a half. Going to check it from the top side to make sure. Yeah, we're right on the money. Okay, so this is half of our mark. This is half. This will fit in here. So we've got halfway where it goes. We'll mark halfway of this board so it'll match. And we'll put this all the way down inside this piece of board here. And we should be okay with this repair. So let's cut our notches. I have my boards out of the couch, laid out like they go into the couch. So they're oriented correctly. That's the halfway mark. This is my repair piece. I'm going to mark halfway on this board. And remember, with the gauge, you come this way half, and that way, when they meet up in the middle, it's halfway. So I'll come in from the other side and mark halfway. And then now I can lay this board down and put that halfway mark right there, and I can mark how wide I want my joint. Got the center of my board lined up with the center of my brace. I'm putting my square on it to make sure that I'm square, and I'll come back with a razor and I will razor where this line will drop in, where the board will drop in. I know my arm's in the way. There we go. I'll do the other side. I'll mark the other side after I insert this one. And then I need to know how far deep I have to bring the board. To get the depth of the board, I'm just going to measure off the board itself. I'm going to line the front of it up, just like this. And so you can see I'll turn the board around. And I will mark how deep that board goes with my razor. I can see my lines on the other side, so I'm just going to very lightly razor a line on how deep I need to put it. So I need to cut between these lines down to that depth. The same thing can be done with a marking gauge. This is my brace right here. You can just set your marking gauge, loosen it up, drop the front down, the thickness of the board, tighten it. Doesn't really matter how you do it. And then now that's the thickness, and I can just run my marking gauge on here like this. So now what we're going to have to do is going to have to take out this part here, right here. We're going to remove this so this can fit in there. My bandsaw is too small, the throat of it, to make these cuts here, these vertical cuts. So I'm going to go ahead and do this by hand, and then we'll take out the waste on the bandsaw. We'll take this inside part on the bandsaw. Now I've got that first one cut, and it drops in just nicely, and I'll do the same exact thing to this side, and then we'll put it on the couch and see how it fits. Now I need to find the center of this so I can install the leg, and we'll just go corner to corner and mark the center. That's where we'll drill the leg. I still need to cut my block to put in here. There's no way that I can install that without cutting that extra piece out, but that's okay. We can just fill that. So we're going to drill this and insert our metal screw for the bottom leg. So our threads are only that long for the leg, and we have that much that we can screw into. This hole for this threads is going to be a different size than this, and also I have to grind these off or flatten them out or something because I've got to insert this into the back piece of wood. So I'm just going to take that off on the grinder. I'm going to drill my hole first with this. This will screw in there because it's exactly the right size. I'll step up a little bit and drill from the other side a little larger hole, so this will insert in the back. And then this will thread through, and it should be flush with the ground when it's said and done. So I'm going to go to the grinder, and I'm going to get rid of this flared out part. There's no way I can clamp that in there. And the insert will go down this far right here. So the insert will go from the back to this far. So I need to stop drilling my smaller hole when I get to this depth. Switch to a little bit, carry that hole all the way through, then switch to the 1/2 inch bit to insert this all the way down to that depth. I have my depth marked on my drill bit, and we're going to drill to depth. I'll put a little bitty tiny drill bit in here. And we're going to go into the hole that this brad point left. Now where this brad point left off, there's that little tit inside that hole. I'm going to line this drill bit up with that, and I'm going to continue drilling through the piece of wood. I don't know if it went through. Oh, it didn't go through. I'm going to finish it by hand. Just have to keep my drill straight, don't I? Okay, we got it through. All right, let's go back to the drill press. I have the depth that I need, and let's match those holes. Now let's dry fit it. I'm going to epoxy this piece in because it's a little loose. I didn't have the right drill bit. I think it's a metric, but this leg fits like exactly like it should. And the threads will strip out probably when I start screwing it into the insert. Just want to make sure everything lines up the way that it should. Put my insert in. See if it starts pulling it too. Didn't grab it yet. There it goes, it's grabbed it. Starting to pull it in. Okay, so smaller hole, bigger hole. We'll epoxy this in, and then we can insert this into the table. So let's go ahead and epoxy our part in. We need to set our insert. And then we need to back our insert out. There it goes, it's come out. Okay, this should be in the same spot as the original. This bottom of this should be flush with the couch. I'll have to take this off off the table and lay it down to make sure, but it should be exactly like the other bracket. Now I've got the bottom repaired, it just hadn't been attached yet. I have to address the broken arm here, and you can see that it is completely caved in. Few issues with repairing this is I can't get up there to do it. You can see the brake. It's made out of that pressed, sawdusty, glued together stuff. And I can't put my hand in from the bottom here. My arm. That's as far as I can go. So I think the only alternative I have is to take all these staples out and try to come in from the side. I'm not really sure. I could also try to scab a new piece from the bottom, apply glue to it, and push it from the bottom and glue it to that. And I don't know if that's going to be secure or not, if it's going to last, if it's going to break again. I don't know. I may have to take the side of this off. I've cut a board to fit in here, and I can't even get, not even close to getting that in. I'd have to cut it too short. So I think the only option I have is to remove the fabric and go in from the side. So that's going to take a little bit more time, but I think it's the right way to do it. So I'll have to pull staples. All these staples have to come out. Bottom leg's got to come off. I've got to pull all this back as best I can to get to the top of that. You may remember this tool from a video I did a while back, refurbishing this nail puller thing. Works really well. We'll just get them started and come in with pliers. If I can remove this panel, I might be able to get my arm in there to put the repair piece in. I put a wedge in here to keep that open, and you can see there's the problem child right there. And we have to figure how to get this up and back like it needs to be. And I think the only way to do that is to sister it or scab it. So I got to set something up for that. I've got that piece squished up there, and I cut a board to fit. And it's hard to do this and have the camera in there at the same time, but I got it in there once. So I'm gonna have to do it just like that. And then I can't screw this in. I have to glue it, and I gotta apply pressure this way to do that. So I'll have to make some sticks to go from here to here to push this, and then I'll put some clamps on the top to clamp that down from the other side. And then hopefully that'll solve that issue. So let's apply some glue and get the clamps and everything ready. And then we can put the part in. That's tough to get in there. Wow, okay. Dropping all kind of cool stuff. This is the setup I've got. I've got these two boards here, one at the top, one at the bottom. I've got my new brace at the top. I've got a clamp here that's clamping it down. I've rounded the corners of this board so it doesn't dig into the couch. And then once I glue it, I will take the wedge out, and then I'll put another clamp on, and then we should be good for this repair. So that's how we're going to do this right here. I've already applied glue to the part because I think that I didn't have enough time before the glue dried before I get everything trying to get in here. There's the part. There we go. Just fit right back. I know I'm moving the camera. Okay. That's nestled in there. Get our top part. Pry that top part in. Our bottom part. Looks like it worked. Both my braces are in there. I'll let this dry for about an hour. So that looks good. Okay, excellent. I need to pull out more staples on both where both the braces go so I can screw down from the top and secure it. So I'm gonna continue pulling staples out. It's become my favorite pastime. I'm ready to scab the new part to the existing part. I've applied my glue and we'll slide it in. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to screw this board to the back of this. Now, the only thing that this is going to do is act as a clamp and nothing more than just a clamp to hold the two parts together. Don't think I need anything more than this. Here's the little block that I made for it. I could not get the new piece in if I did not do it this way because there was no room. I need to mark where this hole is. I've decided to scab this with another one behind it. I don't want this to happen. This is the one that was on there, and you can see what pitiful shape it's in. Somebody had tried to glue and staple this thing together where it broke. That's where the leg goes through, and it broke up. They also scabbed it with plywood, and it's my suspicion, first of all, that they did this where a knot was, and the board was too thin, and it really only had this much on either side of the hole to keep it from breaking. So of course I'm using larger wood. So I'm going to mark where this hole is with a dry eraser mark, and then we'll drill on the scab part an indentation where my two boards will fit flush, and hopefully my clamp will provide enough squishing power to do that. I've also countersunk and drilled pilot holes in my repair piece. Get this where I want. And then this is the part that's going to go back here. I can get it in. And I'm going to squish it. And I'll know where to drill to make it flush, because right now it's not flush because of that, the bracket sticking up. All right, maybe that'll mark it right there. Let's find out. Yeah, okay. So we mark this, and then we're going to drill a little hole in here, just a tiny bit, so we can recess the bracket for the leg. Now that recess can sit over top of that bracket. That can fit flat onto this board now. And I'm going to mark this and glue and screw these together, and then we'll attach the other bracket to the couch. I've drilled 2 screws in right now, and the tip is just poking through the other side. So when I put this on here, I can mark where those holes go. So I'll drop it down into place, line them up, and I'll squish, marking where those 2 holes go. And these are the 2 holes that I have that I've marked. So I'm going to glue and screw this on off the couch so it's easier to get to, and I know that everything will be lined up where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to put this in there. My first one lined up. That's in there. And I'll twist it. Now the other one, I felt it go in. And then now, screw them together. It's a super good clamp. Super duper good clamp. We can see how it fits. And then we'll glue and screw it. All right, fits awesome. This is where the leg goes into, and somehow in my less than awesome self, I broke this out, and I'm going to fix that. If you can get some Holder dental tools, it's great for little things like this. So I'll just get a syringe and put some glue back there. Fill it up with glue. There we go, glue's coming out, that's awesome. And then I will clamp this. And while this is clamping, I'll put the staples back on. There, okay, that's fixed. On. I had to go get another staple gun, so I got this one. This DeWalt one I had for a few years. It didn't work from the first time I opened it up a couple years ago. It takes like 40 times of squeezing the trigger before one comes out. Then you have to take the staples out and jiggle it around. And don't buy one of these. Also, don't buy DeWalt, the headset you put on. They suck too. It's only good for music, not good for talking on. But anyway, that's my gripe on that. So now I can staple gun. The one I just bought works, and I have to put back all the fabric and then put my leg back on. So I am now staple gunning the fabric back on to the couch. Now that that fabric is stapled down, check on the little fix that we did. Oh, it looks good. This is the last part, and we have to flip the couch onto the ground to see if this leg is too short or too long or just right. It should be right. If I did my measurements correctly, I just copied a part, so we'll see if it works. All right, that leg's in. That's not going to break for sure. Okay, I know for sure that this couch definitely will not have this problem again, so that's a happy thought. I'm going to clean the couch up a little bit. I don't know what this is. If I can get it off. If I can't get it off, I'm not a leather refinishing guy. But at least I can wipe it down and see if I can get some of it off. Not sure what this is. That's how it came in from the store when we picked it up with the customer. So I'm not sure what this is. It doesn't look like it wants to come off. Again, this is just water in a glass, just a glass cleaner bottle. It's just my spray bottle for water. And it doesn't look like I can get that off. So I'm not going to mess with it because I do not know what it is. And I don't want to mess up the leather. So we'll just leave that like that. The couch came out really awesome. It sits level, everything's good to go. The arm is fixed. This was all caved in. Now you can put your arm on there. It's no problems. And looks like it's time to return to the customer. Let me show you how many extra parts we have. This is all the leftover parts that I took out from all the old repairs. This is the original bracket. Here's the bunch of screws and staples and more staples. Whoever fixed it really liked staples or tried to fix it. So these are all the parts that were left over after fixing the couch. Couch looks really good. It does have a sectional piece that goes on this side and it comes out. But this is what I've got in the shop right now. And the repair was successful. Well, where's my part? What's going on here? What did I do wrong? I'm going to try to remove... Come on. Do-de-do-de-do-de-do-do. Turn off the fan, turn off the fan, turn off the fan.